Super. Lovely. Thank you for that, Nada. I should say, when Nada said I was fascinating, it was the flappy hands. That was the fascinating bit, I think. Afternoon, everybody. It's lovely to virtually meet everybody. So my name's Michael. I'm an associate director at Training to Care, and some of you might be aware of us and our work. We're a national training provider, primarily for the healthcare sector, and we're probably best known for the virtual dementia tour, which is probably best known as the Dementia Bus. So some of you guys might have been lucky enough to experience that at some point. We also do the Autism Reality Experience. They're basically both experiential courses allowing people to walk in the shoes of others. And we've been really fortunate enough because as a company, we're in a really good position, and we've been able to do some other bits which are really exciting, and one of these is what I'm here to talk to you guys about this afternoon, which is the Dementia Dictionary. So this originally, I know Nada said that I sort of created this. I didn't create it myself. I wish I could take the credit, but I didn't. I helped. That's as far as I'll go with that one. There's probably about 4 years ago now, so just before COVID, we started to think about communication and dementia. And it was mainly off the back of the virtual dementia tour. We've got this amazing experience that people go through where you can build so much empathy and understanding for what it might be like to be living with dementia. But the biggest challenge we face when we're supporting people is communication barriers. And I've experienced this a lot myself. I started in care when I was 18 years old, and my background is elderly care, dementia, and predominantly in care home settings. And the biggest barrier I always found was communicating with people. How am I supposed to communicate with someone in a way that they understand? Or how am I meant to understand why somebody's doing something or not doing something? So this was something that we were thinking about for a long time, and we ended up designing another experiential course called the Dementia Interpreters course, where we basically give delegates the same barriers to communication that a person living with dementia might feel. But we were really keen that this wasn't just a standalone course. So I've been training now for 10 years, and one of my big bugbears about training is you deliver a session in the classroom. Everybody loves it. Everybody has a great time. Everybody learns new things. And in the minute you leave that setting, nothing changes. Nothing changes. And to me, training is all about empowering people to go and make a change. And this is where we started to have a little think about the Dementia Dictionary. So we thought if there was some way that we could get people to connect after their training and share their knowledge and nick ideas from each other that could help, that would be phenomenal. And it's kind of grown from that initial idea now to this huge resource that we're really fortunate we've been able to build with all of our thousands of partners all around the world. And the resource is basically something that's going to help everybody to learn how somebody living with dementia might communicate. So going back to me in the care settings, when I was supporting somebody and they were doing something that I just didn't understand, if I'd have had access to the dictionary back then, I would have hopefully within about 30 seconds have been able to get a much better idea about what this person might be communicating for their actions and noises and things they're not doing, which I honestly would have killed for, rather than spending years banging my head against a brick wall, feeling like I was letting people down. The dictionary there now provides people with this resource they can go to, so you don't have to feel like a terrible person because you can't find a way to understand what somebody might be communicating. And what I wanted to do this afternoon was give you guys a little bit of a tour of the dictionary, explain a little bit about how it works, and hopefully you guys will see as much benefit and value in the dictionary as I do, and then go out there and use it. And use it to help you and help people you know and help everybody out there who's having problems.
Put it in the thing.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen now. Please let me know, because I'm very used to Teams at the minute. I may have forgotten how to do this. Can everybody see on their screen the Dementia Dictionary? Can you give me a little thumbs up if you can? Excellent. I've got thumbs up and nodding. Brilliant. Right, let me crack on. So The Dementia Dictionary, the best bit about this is it is completely free for everybody around the world to use. There is absolutely no barrier at all in people using the Dementia Dictionary, which is lovely for me because part of my job here as one of the directors is I have to do quite a bit of sales. It's really easy to sell free stuff. People love this. So completely free to use. And that for me is really important. It needs to be free for people to use, for people to access this and use it. If it's behind a paywall, we're not going to have people using it. So we're really keen to make sure this never, ever, ever goes behind a paywall. Basically, what the dictionary is, it's a huge resource and it's got thousands of different actions and vocalizations and behaviors in here that people in the real world have seen somebody living with dementia exhibiting. And what we've got for all of these different behaviors and actions and vocalizations are a list of potential interpretations. So a list of things that these actions may be communicating to us. One of my big things that I've always been involved in with training is the behavior side of things. And we've always known that behaviors don't happen for no reason. But you still have a lot of labeling going. Oh, they're doing that because they've got dementia. Oh, they're aggressive. Oh, they're non-compliant. And trying to break down that barrier is really tricky to do. That's where the dictionary comes in. Rather than people just, oh, it's happening for this reason, or I don't know why it's happening. People might be able to learn truly what that person is communicating and why that action is potentially happening. So let me give you a little guided tour about how the dictionary works. There's two parts that I'm going to show you guys. So the first part is the dictionary itself, and this is the bit that everybody everywhere around the world can access. So it works as simply as this. You pop on to the dictionary and you type in the behavior, the action, the vocalization, whatever it might be that you are seeing, but you don't understand why it's happening. Now, the example I always use when I'm doing little demonstrations like this is hearing aids. My nan, and I'm going back probably about 12, 13 years now, my nan would not wear her hearing aids. She'd pop it in when you reminded her to wear a hearing aid, and then literally the minute you weren't looking, it would come out again. And it would be in a pocket or down the back of the sofa. We found it in some interesting places around her flat. So maybe you guys have come across something similar yourselves and you've not been able to figure out why that's happening, what that action is communicating. You can jump on the dictionary and you can search for that behavior. And what will happen is when you search for that behavior, you'll get a list of behaviors in the dictionary which might be related to the term that you've just searched for. You're then able to have a little look through this list here and see whether there is anything on here that's similar to what you're seeing yourself. Now, the first one on this list right at the top here, my mum keeps misplacing her hearing aid. That sounds similar to what I'm seeing with Nan. So I'm able to open up this behavior, and up the top you can see there's a little bit more information about this specific situation. So it says mum keeps wearing hearing aids and losing it, and when they find it, it's in strange places like flower pots. That sounds very similar to what my nan used to do. Underneath that, this box here, this definition, this is an interpretation that's been published in the dictionary. And what you've got here is this, in a nutshell, this is basically just saying maybe it's because the hearing aid is uncomfortable. Now, I might be able to look at that and go, do you know what? I've never thought about that. There's a mark on Nan's ear. That might be why she's doing this. That might be what she's communicating through this action. And then I'm able to go, right, let's have a chat to the right people to maybe look at getting it refitted. I might also look at that and go, that is absolute rubbish. There's not why this is happening for my nan. What you're able to do, if that's the case, is you're able to see there's any more definitions for this. It's an auditory processing issue. Maybe it's too noisy, somebody taking out the hearing aid, so that could absolutely be right as well. Just because it's small, it's a dull colour, they can't see, they can't find the hearing aid. Be what my nan was communicating through her actions of not keeping in her hearing aid if she thought people were looking. I personally think it was more down to the fact that my nan just didn't like being told what to do. So any opportunity. This is the thing about behaviours. You might have one action which is being exhibited by 100 different people for 100 completely different reasons at any given time of the day. And that's why it's really important that we've got multiple definitions for each behaviour. But even then, we've 3 on this one. There could be 1,000 different reasons why this is happening. So there's every chance you might look at this and go, you know, but there's nothing there that quite works for me. There's nothing that I think explains my situation. What you're able to do, if that is the case, you are able to ask for your own specific situation to be interpreted. So ignore this little bit on here about the video link, that's being removed. You can put in a little title of what it is you're experiencing, and then you can put in a bit of information about what it is. And the more information we get from people, the better. We've got some updates that should be happening on the dictionary very soon, linking into this bit here, which I'll tell you guys about towards the end of the demonstration. But you're able to put in as much information as you can. More information, the better. You can then post it, and then other interpreters will be able to come in and hopefully provide some interpretations on there. So as far as the dictionary works, it is as simple as you search for the behaviour, maybe throwing food away. You see whether there's anything that matches what you're seeing. And then hopefully there'll be an interpretation on here which is similar to your situation, which can help to explain what is going on. Now, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for 2 seconds. I always give people a little heads up when I do that, just so you don't see this appear really big on your screen. I don't want to cause any heart attacks for the next half hour or so. That is available on a web browser, which is what we've just looked at. We've also got an app version of this, which is completely free to download, and it works in the same way. You can download the app, you can search for your behaviour, action, whatever it might be that you're seeing, and then you'll get access to the same content that's on the dictionary online. And there are thousands and thousands of things in there. There was one point when I knew roughly how many we had. It's gone crazy busy now. I have no idea whatsoever. And that's the best bit about the dictionary. It is going to keep growing and growing and growing over time. We'll never, ever get to a point where we've got everything catalogued, ever. There's always going to be people that can't quite find what they're looking for and ask us new questions. So it's been amazing to see how it grows. Does anybody have any questions about the dictionary part before I jump into the next bit? Please feel free to unmute and shout out or pop your hand up, or however you want to try and get my attention. Any questions, go for it. Everybody, that's either everybody's good or I've sent everybody to sleep. So I've just noticed the chat box as well. Is anybody else having trouble with my audio?
You were breaking up for a little while, but it seems better now. No
trouble. We're in the middle of basically a forest down here. It's beautiful, but the internet's a little bit hit and miss. I'm glad it's better. Super. Right. Let me show you the next part then.
There's just one more question. Sorry, it says, can we download from App Store?
Yes, you can. App Store or Play Store. The only device it's not available on at the minute is, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Huawei. Simply just because of we'd have to do a completely new build for that, and it's too expensive at the minute. But hopefully at some point we do end up with that as well.
And just one more question. Do doctors reference this book translation?
So quite honestly, the answer to that is I don't know. One of the big things we need to do at the minute is get awareness out about this. And one of the big things, I completely agree about a resource for doctors. I think the more people we can signpost to this, the better. We initially we put this together because we wanted to help care staff and professional carers, people working in hospitals, but most of the really positive feedback we've received, it's been from people out in the community, people supporting loved ones who maybe feel like they're the only ones going through things, people that are very reliant on maybe a doctor or another healthcare professional pointing you in the right direction. So I completely agree with you about doctors and GP and everybody needing to know about this, and that is my job for the next however long I'm working here, getting people to know about it. I'm glad that you think doctors should recognize. Hopefully that means you like the idea. That's I'm taking that as a win. I'm interpreting that as a win. So let's go on to the next bit, because one of the things I get asked by people with the dictionary is, how can you know? How can you know what somebody else is communicating? And I'm going to put my hands up here. I didn't write everything that's in the dictionary, because if I was going to write down everything I know about dementia, based on my experience, it's only that much. There's a lot of things I've not encountered myself, just like all of us. And this is, for me, is the really exciting part about the dictionary. So the people that provide all of the definitions in the dictionary, they are people that have done the Dementia Interpreters course with us that I mentioned earlier on, and they register as registered interpreters on the dictionary. They're then able to get involved in conversations around behaviours and actions that people are struggling to deal with, that they would like to know a little bit more about. And that's the next bit I'm going to show you. So let me bring up, oh, I've just seen another question just before I share my screen. Is there any resource available that is similar to this for patients with dementia? Sorry, Shauna, are you talking about people living with dementia themselves contributing?
Yes, I am. It's something that if someone is suffering with dementia and they have a lot of worrying concerns as to why they're experiencing some things, a quick reference book that they can refer to that's easy for them to know how to access, that can help them know that this is what these are the reasons why, just so that it avoids maybe fear that a dementia patient goes through when they're experiencing new things.
So the answer to, that's a really, really good question. The answer to that is, I don't know whether there's anything specific out there. What I do know is, based on feedback we've had, that we've had some people, particularly sort of earlier stages, that have used the dictionary with the support of family members and other care professionals who explain some of the things that they're having trouble with, just to maybe understand and just, well, okay, I understand why that might be happening, but also to maybe think about some of the things that can be done differently. Because this is the whole thing about the dictionary. If we can understand where people are coming from, there's going to be something we can tweak and change somewhere to make people's lives a bit easier. So we have had a few bits of it, not thousands, but we've had a few bits of feedback from people living with dementia themselves. So sorry, I know that's not like the perfect answer. That's a proper fluffy training answer, that one, isn't it? Apologies, Shauna. But hopefully it was something. Right, let me share my screen again with you all. Back to the dictionary. Now, I was saying about how it goes. So let's say, going back to screen where you can ask a question. Let's say that you have asked a question to be interpreted. What I'm going to do is, I'm just going to, please don't think I can't spell. I am from Essex, but my spelling is normally better than that, I do promise. Let's ask for that question to be interpreted. So as far as the general public goes, this is the last bit you see on the site. You ask for help, that's it. You don't get access to this next bit I'm going to show you. The only people that get access to this next bit are our registered interpreters. And the next part I'm going to show you is the interpreter forum. Now, you can see at the top there, that question that I've just asked, and for anybody who thinks that, I will get rid of that, I promise, before it confuses anybody on here. All of the questions that people all around the world are asking appear in the forum here, and there is a test on this at the end. I need you to remember all of the questions we've got in here. There are thousands and thousands of questions that people have asked for help with, absolutely thousands. similar to the dictionary, at one point I kind of knew what all these were and what responses we had. Now I have absolutely zero idea. No idea whatsoever. It's got way too busy. So how it works is, if you're a registered interpreter on the dictionary, you get access to the interpreter forum, and you can access that on the app, and you can access that on the browser, whatever's easiest for you. You're then able to have a little look on the forum and see whether there's any actions on here that you've encountered yourself. So packing belongings, that's definitely something I've come across before. So on here, you've got, for this situation here, she's somebody living with dementia. Every day she's packing all her belongings, leaving on the floor in the bedroom, like she's ready to leave the place at any time. So me, as a registered interpreter, I might look at that and go, do you know what? I've known people and supported people that have done something similar. And I think, based on my own experience, I might have an idea why this person might be doing something similar. And what I'm able to do is I'm able to add an interpretation. So I'm able to put down what I think this action is communicating. I'm able to put down why I think they're doing this. And then, most importantly, I'm able to give a few suggestions about things that might help based on my own experience and the knowledge I've gained from doing specific training around dementia and communication. And then all of these interpretations end up underneath down here. So we've got Jane there, who's put she's not sure, but maybe she wants to go home. Gloria here's put down another one. There's some of these conversations where we have dozens and dozens and dozens of potential interpretations. What we're able to do as a community of interpreters is we're able to leave little comments and replies. So it's just quite nice here. We've got Gloria and Jane talking to each other on this post. Gloria left a little reply to Jane, Jane left a little reply to Gloria. The really important bit is, if I look at an interpretation and I think, I mean, maybe Gloria's down here, there's loads of stuff, I might read through that and go, do you know what, that might be what she's communicating. She might be communicating she's feeling scared and lost. I'm able to give that interpretation a little vote. And this is how we grow the dictionary. As a community, we vote for the interpretations that we think could potentially make sense. The most popular ones are then published in the Dementia Dictionary, where everybody around the world is then able to view them and hopefully use them. And that's how it keeps growing and growing and growing. We're really, really, really fortunate that, if I go back to the forum, all of these different people we've got involved in it, there are thousands and thousands of people out there, like Anne, like Ruth, like Sam, that have done the training and registered and take part in conversations on the dictionary in their own time, off their own backs. And they're doing this to share their knowledge that they've got. But ultimately, it's to try and help people out there to understand what people living with dementia might be communicating through their actions. It's been amazing over the last few years, and in particular the last couple of years since we really launched the dictionary after COVID, to see just how many people have got involved in the project. And it's that reason why, that's the reason why even the dictionary itself is working. That's the reason why it's helping people out there. Without the contributions of all of our registered interpreters that we've got, the dictionary wouldn't be a resource that anybody would be able to tap into and use. If it was just down to me and what I know a tiny little sliver, but there are millions of people out there that have got experience with people living with dementia. This is the platform where they can share that experience and then ultimately build a resource which is going to help millions and millions of people all around the world. And it truly is a global project. So we've got probably about two and a half years ago now, we started working with a company over in America, a charity that we've done some work with in the past, to roll the training out in America. So we've got American interpreters involved, we've got Dutch interpreters involved, desperately trying to get over to Holland to see some more of the work they do, because it sounds fascinating. Australia and New Zealand, South Africa. We've got, just before Christmas, we had our first Zimbabwean dementia interpreter, which was very, very exciting. We've also got somebody who lives in Fiji who's registered. I'm desperately trying to get out to do some face-to-face training, but that won't be signed off on by my CEO for some reason. Everyone around the world, everyone pitching in. That's what's making the dictionary such a useful resource to use. So I'm going to open it up to sort of some questions and comments. I've just seen Shauna's having trouble finding the app. Absolutely no trouble. Shauna, are you on the App Store or the Play Store? Oh, Shauna, what country are you in?
Sorry, I'm in Canada.
Ah,
Oh no, it's not available.
it may not be licensed in Canada then.
Is there a way to access it on just through the regular Google Chrome search bar?
Yeah, if you just go to any browser, so Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Edge, whatever it might be, and dementiadictionary.com, and you'll be able to access it there. I thought that was going to be a really tricky question about licensing then, and I was going to go grab someone from IT. So let me open it up to everybody. Has anybody got any questions about the dictionary or the forum? Have I sent everybody to sleep? So, Sally, oh, sorry, Nada, were you going to shout out questions?
Yes, just Sally said, are you happy for us to share a link on our company social media?
Absolutely, absolutely. What we've got, and I think I may have sent this over to Nada already, but I might have said I was going to do it and then forgot, which is always possible with me. What we've got, I'm more than happy to share this with anybody on here. We've got some literature about how people can access and use the dictionary. So we've got some links where people can download the dictionary from Apple Store, Play Store. We've got a little user guide for how the dictionary works, which works on the app, and we can also send out some bits about the browser as well, how to access it through the browser. More than happy for anybody to share this with anyone at all. The more people that know about this, the more people it's gonna help. So absolutely go for it.
It would be interesting if anybody has any concerns and we could try it.
Absolutely.
Oh, could I ask a question? My question is that would this resource also say or give, I guess, maybe say that dementia is getting at a stage worse, or like some behaviors, would it indicate as a summary, this is a more progressed form of dementia, or does it not specific as such?
So it's not as specific as that. It's more looking at certain situations and giving people a list of potential reasons they might be happening. However, with what you're talking about there, Shauna, we're looking at potentially trying to do some research around this, because I said, feel free, anybody that disagrees with me, please tell me with this. We know everybody living with dementia is an individual. Every person is an individual. But you tend to see these common patterns with behaviours, and it doesn't matter if I'm talking to you guys or Shauna in Canada or somebody in Australia, you get these similarities. So we're looking at trying to get some research set up to see whether there's a language of dementia, some sort of like more formalised pathway that we can look at to allow us to better understand, and that would take into account what people were living with, what stage they are. It's I don't know, it sounds like sort of pie in the sky thinking. There might be like a language of dementia, a universal language, but there's so many similarities. We said that there's got to be something there. So yeah, it'll be interesting seeing how that goes. But Shauna, to go back to your question, it doesn't go into, it's just looking at situations and what might be communicated for that situation.
I think you're right, Michael. I think, for example, packing belongings, anybody who's worked with dementia, I'm sure you would have had people packing their belongings regularly. I think there is some I don't know what it, or wrapping things up in tissue, hiding things. It's all very common.
Absolutely. Food in a tissue, or feces in a tissue, or an object. I mean, you see these commonalities, and there has to be reasons why. I am nowhere near smart enough to work that out on my own. So like I said, we're looking into potentially setting something up around that. But I think this has been one of the really interesting things that we've seen with the dictionary, because it started off, like I said, as just something to keep people connected after training, and to go and make changes based on training. And now we've got this huge resource that people everywhere are able to get involved with and help out. We're talking about using it as the basis for a research project, and we've had a few universities who have shown interest in potentially getting involved with that. But we've got organisations using it as a recruitment tool. You know, if you've got somebody who's a registered interpreter and they're doing this, then all that must mean you do care and you do want to make it. There's so many other offshoots from the dictionary. The thing I still get most excited about is being able to potentially help people out there that feel like they're on their own. I think it's so nice when you get feedback from somebody saying, I stumbled across this, I was having trouble with my husband for this. I tell you what, the best one I thought, the best one I've seen, it was somebody said, I couldn't find anything on there that helped my situation, but it was just nice to know I wasn't the only one. And reading that, it was lovely. It was just knowing that this resource we've got is able to help people in that way. And I think, I mean, talking about this as well, and by the way, I get very excited talking about this. I will keep you here for the next 6 hours if you don't shut me down. That hearing aid example that I showed you guys, so the first interpretation we've got on there, that's from a lady called Ruth. And I've spoken to Ruth, because that was one of the very first batch of interpretations we published in the dictionary, which we didn't come up with ourselves while we were testing it. So this was first real world batch. Ruth has never worked in healthcare or social care in her life. She supported her mum who passed away a few years back. And she did the e-learning version of the course, which we designed for people that don't work in the sector, to allow them a way of doing it, which is more cost effective rather than spending thousands or hundreds of pounds on training. And I love that, because when she put her first post on, it read, this might be really silly, but maybe it's uncomfortable. And I remember reading that post going, I am so stupid. Why didn't I think of that? I go, it's loud noises. That's why she keeps taking a hearing aid. This is why it's so nice. Every single person has got a point of view and a perspective, which could help, which could trigger other people to think of things. So it's a really nice way of bringing people in and giving people a platform and valuing what they've got to say, when that doesn't tend to happen much. So lovely. Sean, Nada, do you mind if I read out Shauna's message?
Yeah, please do. Yes.
So for anyone that didn't see it, Shauna's just said, basically, I'm a godsend. That's basically what Shauna put. I'm waiting on Shauna coming back in. I completely agree with your point, Shauna. Just having this resource to tap into, it's going to help. Even if there's nothing in there in particular they can find, like that feedback we had, just knowing they're not the only person out there experiencing this, it makes people feel so much better, so much less alone.
Again, I'd quite like to hear any examples so we can put it in a dictionary, and maybe you can have an answer to your question you've always been wondering about.
Any situations anyone's struggled with or wondered why it might be happening? You've all gone shy. Oh, Shauna.
Okay. Forgetting to take medications.
Right. Should we have a little look at that one then? I feel like I'm at a fair or something. Oh, let's have a look. Right. Let me share my screen again, and I'll show you guys what we're doing. So forgetting to take medication. So let's have a look and see whether we can find anything in there about forgetting to take medication. So refusing tablets, that sounds similar potentially to what I'm seeing. So I could open that one up. And then on here, we've got, oh, this is quite an interesting one. So this is just reading out, and I'll read through this so you guys, if you're struggling to see it on your screens, you'll know what we're going on about. So this is somebody's mum who stopped taking a lot of her tablets putting them in the kitchen cabinet and just wasn't taking them. That could potentially, going back to Shauna's point, that could potentially look like she's forgetting to take her tablets. And I think if you have somebody living with dementia, what's one of the first things we always think about? Memory loss and forgetfulness. So I think you could get a lot of people thinking that. When this person tried to explain to her that she needs to take them, she tells me that she needs to keep them and things can get agitated. So she's refusing to take them. She wants to keep them. He's considered hiding them in food, which he knows is wrong because he works as a carer, but he does not know what else to try. That is a really common situation, isn't it? That you're going to get a lot of people encountering. Now, the interpretation, I think this is really interesting. So this is provided by Aaron. Your mum might be trying to report a side effect that she might have after taking the medication. She would rather store them than go through the discomfort of certain side effects. My interpretation is this medication makes me ill. And he talks about seeing a GP for a meds review, I'm assuming. Now, let me just stop sharing. I love that example we've got there. So if I had somebody who wasn't taking medication, like Shauna said there, they might have just forgotten to take it. They've got dementia. They might just have forgotten. But Aaron and the way he's looking at it, it might be deeper than that. It might be someone trying to tell us that makes me feel like crap. And that's definitely going on my experience. If I had somebody who wasn't taking their medication, I wouldn't think, they're communicating a side effect. But I love that. That's fantastic. It could also, I saw another message popping up, I think, saying about it could be communicating something else. Oh no, I might have just misread something. So yeah, I love that as an example of sort of how the dictionary works, just to get another idea. But once again, you might look at that and you go, no, that's not why it's happening in my situation. Then you can ask for your own specific situation to be asked. Nada, we've got a few more.
You have one of them, somebody continues to ask saying questions, for example, how to change channels on remote control. So scared to be alone. And there is another one saying, worried about something dropped on the floor, for example, on the barbecue, child dropped a plastic fork, and dad constantly worried about it being picked up.
Oh, there's some really good ones there. I'm going to start with the worried about something dropped on the floor, because I'm going to bet we've not got anything in the dictionary around that. Let me share my screen with you guys and we will have a look. We're going on an adventure together. Let's go object on floor and see if we get anything. Coloured floors, doormat. I can't see anything there that if I'd encountered that situation where something was dropped on the floor, I can't see anything there that I would think was similar to that. So in that situation, what I would be doing is I would be asking for that behaviour to be interpreted. So you could be worried about object on floor. I'm just going to hopefully copy and paste what's in the chat box. Just only typing it out. And Sarah, who you asked about this one, if this is something that's happened to you, please feel free to provide a little bit more information, and then I can update this question, and we can see what we get. So this is a great example, if I can get it working, of how the dictionary works. There's going to be things you look for, and you can't find anything in there that works for you. So just ask your question. And then what we'll see is interpreters having a look at that, seeing that and going, oh, I've encountered something similar. Maybe this is why it's happening there. Nada, what was the other?
Hang on, I've dropped the chat. Being worried about being left alone and asking same questions, for example, how to change channels on the remote control.
Let's try repetitive questions. So we got repetitive vocalizing. Same question. Just have a look. So I can't, and once again, with a little bit of playing around, you'd probably be able to find something similar. I'm not finding repeated questions, and I know we've got bits in there around this. It's just trying to find the right thing. So I'm struggling to say after sort of 20 seconds or so searching something in particular. So once again with that, I'd consider, if I just stop searching, I would consider asking for help with that situation. I know there are bits in the dictionary around repetitive questioning. This is linking into one of the big updates that we get, and I'm sure not scared to be. I'm gonna come to that one in a minute. One of the big updates, we've now got so many entries in the dictionary that trying to use it is getting a little bit tricky for people. So what we're looking at doing is a new interface on there and having categories and tags and the better ways of people trying to find stuff, because it's amazing we've got all this information, but we don't want anybody not being able to find that information. It's got to be usable for people. What we've also got is we've got some templates coming out for the interpretations. So if you go on there now and have a look at stuff yourself, you might see a few bits on there you're thinking, oh, it's a little bit difficult to understand how this person got to that point. So the template, and I showed you guys it very, very briefly when I clicked add an interpretation. We've got it nice and clear now. What's your interpretation? Why do you think that? What could you do to help? So that should make it easier for people to use as well. Sean, I'm gonna have one last little look for Shauna's as well. So scared to be alone. And I'll share my screen so you just don't have my face looking confused as I try and type on the screen. So we're probably going to get loads on here for scared. So it might be a similar thing, trying to type in the right ones. The one thing I'd say with that post, Shauna, scared to be alone. Scared to be alone is more an interpretation. That's what could be communicated through behavior. So it might be someone who's always saying about being scared to be alone. It might be someone who maybe when they're left alone won't sit still because blah blah blah, things like that. But there'll be bits in there, but I doubt I'm going to find anything that says scared to be alone is the actual behavior itself. So out of 4 things we've looked for there, we managed to find one which makes perfect sense, and then there's 3 there. So even with all those thousands of things we've got in there, we've got so much more we need to interpret.
So I have a question about how to become an interpreter. So how does that work? How does the training work? Do you have to pay for it? How could you tell us a little bit?
Unfortunately, there is a cost to doing the training. You're all mates now, so I'll just charge you £5 each. Does that sound so I can see a few faces on my screen. I think I was in the room, I'd probably get a slap for saying that. So there's a couple of ways of being do this. So to become a registered interpreter on the dictionary, what we need people to do is complete the Dementia Interpreters course. Now, I mentioned this very, very briefly at the start. The Interpreters course is a experiential course where we give you the same barriers to communication that a person with dementia might experience. And the reason that we've done this is we want people on the dictionary to have a good idea what we're talking about. We need people to get past the point where they're saying it's happening because they've got dementia, and to truly understand that communication don't stop. Speech might get tricky for some people, and movement might get tricky, but communication don't stop. So that's why we've set that as an entry criteria for getting involved on the forum. Now, to book us out, we can come out as a company and we can deliver training sessions to people, but it's not cheap, because no training is cheap. You're talking about hundreds of pounds. So the other option people have got to complete the training is our e-learning course. Now, I don't know how many of you guys love e-learning. I'm a little bit when it comes to e-learning, because I've been all e-learninged out in the past. However, the reason we've done this is that the e-learning course it's 25 quid plus that. It's £30. the content covered in that course is exactly the same as if we were to come out and deliver a face-to-face session for somebody. The only difference is you can't do the experiential bit yourself because we can't get the equipment to you and try on. So we've got a videoed section on there where there's a very knowledgeable trainer on there demonstrating the practical session and running through bits with people. So everyone can do the e-learning course and learn the same content that we're talking about in the face-to-face. Upon completion of that, you're then able to register on the dictionary as a dementia interpreter. So it's as simple as it. Once you've done the training, whether that's face-to-face, whether that's e-learning, you can then register on there and get involved in the forum. We've got other bits for people that are registered on there when they've gone through. So not only can you help with the project and network with all these thousands of other people, we've got, and I'm not going to go into loads about this now because you will properly fall asleep on me if I start going for this. We've got different levels that people can achieve. And these levels are basically designed for two reasons. The first one is we want people to get involved with the project. So we set people little targets, get them involved. And the second reason is to reward people for doing so. So when somebody hits a certain level, they get a certificate, they get a badge for doing this, they get invited to come along to an awards evening if they get to this certain level. So that's how you can get involved. Complete the training in whatever form it is. So every time somebody asks me a question, Dementia Dictionary or interpret related, I just go. I do apologise. I get very excited about it.
Shauna has another question, that somebody sits in the same chair and listens to music with eyes closed all day.
That's a great one because that's really specific. So let me share my screen because I found one potential thing here. I wanted just to double check before I share my screen again, so I didn't cause any migraines keep jumping in and out. I searched for eyes closed, and the only thing I can find is this one. And this is someone who's rubbing their fingers all day. Yeah, so we've got one here which is saying it might be a sign of anxiety or distress potentially. What else have we got? We've got another one here. This is more about the rubbing fingers, that interpretation there. So that's the only thing I can find with that. Once again, with that sort of behaviour or action there that Shaw's posted, I reckon, how many people we got on here? 20 odd different people signed in. I reckon between us, we could probably come up with about 5 different interpretations each for that situation. I mean, I'm going to take the easy one. Maybe they're just happy. When I'm happy, I like to sort of close my eyes and not. It could be as simple as that. There could be so many reasons why it's going on. But once again, Shauna, there, if you're experiencing that and you want to understand why it might be happening, jump on the browser, dementiadictionary.com, have a little look on there, and if you can't find anything, ask for your situation to be interpreted.
Has anybody else got any questions? Because if you haven't, I think we can let you go 9 minutes early.
No, we've got to sit here in silence for 9 minutes.
So please, if you have any more questions, please either put them in chat or ask. Otherwise, Michael, that was amazing as always. I think it says, yeah, there is. Are the interpreters always available with quick responses?
So that's a brilliant question. This is actually something that I've asked the developers to look at. At the minute, when you put in your question, you don't hear anything. So it could be that there is a response which is published in the dictionary the next day, but you don't know about it. So one of the things we're getting changed is when people ask for a question, there'll be a box there to notify me and an email address, so that when something is added in the dictionary, and that could be a day, could be a week, depending on what it is and how many people are involved, people are notified. So the answer to the question is it available with quick responses? The answer is it depends. But letting people know when that does happen is really, really important. We actually, and this is something that we've sort of not talked about as an organisation for a while. When we first set this up, we were talking about potentially having like an on-call service. So rather than just having the dictionary in the forum, we would have like a chat box which would be manned by interpreters, and then people could go on and ask the questions. The only thing with that is trying to manage like a voluntary service like that and provide. It's hard enough trying to manage a training company and have all of that going on. So maybe one day, you never know.
Is there a support? Is a support chat link to talk to people who want to share? And then we have a couple of people saying very helpful and interesting and extremely useful. My daily work, interpreting work, will share with my colleagues. Thanks very much. I think this was absolutely amazing. Thank you, Michael.
No trouble at all. I was going to say, would it be helpful? And please tell me, Nada, if this is crossing line. But if I was to put my email address in there,
that'd be excellent. And then anybody, yes. But I will obviously share this recording with everybody, and I will leave Michael's email on there. So, and he's left his email address. So if there are no more questions, thank you very much. As I said, this was absolutely amazing, and I'm sure people will find it very helpful managing the services and managing dementia, helping people, understanding their needs, which half the time you get frustrated and they get just as frustrated. So hopefully this is something that everybody will find useful. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Nada. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
No trouble, no trouble. Did you want me to hang around at all?
You can do if anybody has any questions they want to ask you separately, but
I normally when I do a webinar, I normally just hang around until everyone's disappeared, just in case.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
it must be quite hard for you to manage all that. I mean, it's yeah.
We've got a bit going on, So we've got sort of our training work, and then we've got the dictionary. I'm in the middle at the minute of arranging an autism conference that we're running next month, which is a lot more work than I thought it was going to be.
Is it a live conference or is it?
It is. So we've got Colchester in Essex. So we've got venue sorted, we've got speaker lineup sorted, and yeah.
So financially, I mean, it's obviously costing you a lot of money rather than.
Yeah, one of the with the dictionary, we're lucky with the dictionary that as a company, with the work that we do, that we've got the resources there to be able to sort of keep this running in the back without having to cost for it. So I think we're hopefully, if this is still being recorded, please never let my CEO see this. But we're really lucky that we've got a fantastic CEO, and one of his big things is about trying to give back to the industry where we can. So we're lucky basically that we were able to do that.
Yeah, somebody asked for a certificate, but that's fine. We can issue that certificate of attendance.
Can I have a certificate?
Yeah. What would you like me to put on it?
Godsend, I think.
Well, you've got written evidence, haven't you?
I'll make sure I download the chat before I go. No, if no one's got any questions,
It doesn't look like it. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
No trouble. Thank you for inviting me. I really, really hope it's useful for people.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Anything else you need, get in touch.
Lovely. Well, actually, I might. I was talking to somebody about overseas staff coming over, struggling with certain expressions such as spend a penny.
Spend a penny.
And they thought, ooh, there could be a similar thing for overseas workers.
we need like a phrase book, don't we? Basically. I'll have a think about that one. So that might be something we can add onto the dictionary site potentially at some point. Commonly used phrases.
Yeah. Take care, Michael.
Nice trouble. Speak to you soon, Nada.
Bye bye.